aired in Germany, and Sam was there, and it was kind of like Beatlemania all over again. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this works.
What about? I mean, and it hasn't stopped since then. Obviously, I mean, I'm sure like the intensity, the passion that fans receive you with is humbling and overwhelming, and just must give you so much fuel in life constantly.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I've done a few conventions now, and so many of the fans have kind of formed their own communities, through watching the show and formed friendships. And the amazing thing now, with streaming, there's still people that have just discovered the show and are just binging it, and so it's nice to get messages from new fans going, I've just watched Outlander, I love it. I've met some very sick people, and like the show has really got them through tough times, and it's kind of, you don't realize that when you're doing it, right. When you're shooting, what kind of effect it can have on people, and that's very gratifying.
It was obviously quite a journey for your character through the 5 seasons you were on. I want to show a photo of season 1 Murtaugh versus season 5.
The Silver Fox. There you go.
Yeah.
There's the first photo where that was the first makeup idea we had. He was meant to be so dirty all the time. He was meant to be that dirty. Then we had note backs from the exec saying, no, we can't actually see his face. So they cleaned me up a little bit, but that was episode 1. And then, the comeback, I basically asked the makeup people that I wanted to look like Sam Elliott with the hair. So that's the inspiration for the silver wig. Yeah.
I see it. I mean, he that's a huge makeover. That's like Murtaugh found soap somewhere along the lines.
I want a hot older murder.
Do you have a favorite part of the journey when you look back of the journey for your character in particular? What was most satisfying, creatively rewarding?
When he came back, it was definitely a more interesting role, I think, because if you look at Outlander and the kind of themes, it's always kind of love triumphs over darkness and despair. And Murtaugh's story is kind of the opposite. It's kind of, he allows hate and anger to triumph over love, which is the kind of tragedy of that character, which I found really interesting. And working with Maria Doyle Kennedy, who played Jocasta, was amazing. I think the fondest memories are still from like season 1, season 2, when we all started off.
On behalf of the fans, we thank you. You more than made your mark on this iconic show. Thank you for thrilling all the fans.
It's been an amazing journey, so thank you very much.
Continuing our trip back in time, we are so lucky to be joined by one of Outlander's most iconic figures, Dougal Mackenzie himself. It's the one and only Graham McTavish. Graham, we couldn't do this without you. Welcome to the 10th anniversary celebration, my friend.
I wouldn't have let you do it without me, Josh. So fortunately, we agree on that. Yes, so here I am. I'm happy to be here. Very happy to be here. I can't believe it's 10 years. Good God.
You have such a storied history with this series, obviously, playing Dougal, cameoing as Buck, going on the many adventures with your buddy Sam Heughan on Men in Kilts. But we want to go way back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
Where was Graham McTavish when Outlander came around? What do you remember about your life and career when?
I was doing The Hobbit here in New Zealand, and we were just finishing, and my manager rang me. I was in full makeup and costume in my trailer, and she rang me and she said, there's this show that Stars are doing, set in the Highlands of Scotland in the 18th century. Would you be interested in playing a Highlander in that? And I literally shouted into the phone, yes, I would, yes. Then I finished and I went over. I met Sam, and it was wonderful. Yeah, it was a very sweaty room in Soho, very hot. He says that I was wearing a salmon pink jumper, which is a complete lie, absolute lie, straight out lie. But we got on very well, and I think then, we started boot camp that September. So technically, it's almost 11 years exactly since I entered the world of Outlander. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about, the boot camp, the infamous boot camp, because you didn't exactly just show up on set and do the job. You had to learn a bunch of skills. Do you look back on those days with fondness? What do you remember about all the skills you had to pick up?
I arrived, and we had to do, let me remember, horse riding, weapons, Gaelic. It was a great experience, boot camp. Of course, horses. I have a love-hate relationship with horses. I've done so many jobs where I'm required to ride, and I do a reasonably good job of pretending that I know what I'm doing. And I've had very kind horses. The horse on Outlander was the kindest, actually, Lambert, a delightful animal. I think he and his other horse friends used to get together at the end of the day, and they would just console him for having to put up with me for the day. It was, but he made me look as though I knew what I was doing. So
we're going to talk to Lambert after you, actually, to get his side of the story, and maybe hopefully he has fond memories too.
Yeah.
We have some photos. We were talking about weapons training. Let's look at this first photo. This is you at the armory.
Oh, yes, firing my musket. It's interesting. There's no real recoil, not much of a recoil on those things. They just make a strange kind of noise compared with modern weapons. But it's great. I mean, the reason that I was doing that was for the scene with Claire where I killed the boar. So I needed to look again as if I knew what I was doing. And I love doing that stuff. All that stuff, the weapon stuff, is great. Yeah.
We have another photo. We're talking about the whole group. I think this captures who you guys are.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Sam looks like a child. He's like oh wow, that is amazing. We had a lot of fun there. We really did.
I want to take a look at one other photo capturing a little behind the scenes of those on the road scenes of the Highlanders.
Oh yeah.
Back then.
Oh, good grief. Yes, there's Claire, Katrina rather, on the horse with Sam. The poor woman. That first episode, especially at night, because the first things we filmed with Katrina was when she was wearing her petticoat, her slip. Really the only terrible weather days that we had actually on location were those first days when it was just pouring with rain. And so she had hot water bottles secreted all about her person that they were constantly giving. But she was such a Trojan. She really was. She never complained. Never complained. I mean, we were fine. We were all in our big woolen clothes, and Sam probably had some kind of heating pad on his torso. But she was amazing, and that was then. And you can see just crouching at the right that it looks like a man going to the toilet, but it's not. It's actually not a man going to the toilet. It's him holding my horse so that I don't make a complete fool of myself. And there's also a man at the front. That's Dominic, who is the stunt coordinator. He's holding the bridle also. So I needed two men to make sure that I looked vaguely competent. Yeah.
It takes a village to make Graham look cool sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the joys of looking back at this is obviously as great as the sets were and the costumes and the company, nobody knew what this was going to be, of course. I mean, there was obviously a huge fan base, but a lot of shows have huge fan bases.
Yeah.
Do you remember kind of a point where you realized what a huge deal it could and would be?
I'll never forget the premiere of the first two episodes at San Diego Comic-Con. It was just a zoo. I mean, there was so many people. And when it began, when the music started and the lights went down and the reaction of the fans in that theater, we all thought, okay, yeah, this could be big.
When you look back at Dougal's journey through Outlander, what did you enjoy the most? What do you take the most pride in? What aspect of that storyline?
His complexity, that he is or was a very complicated individual. So if I could make fans love me 1 minute in an episode and hate me the next, then I was succeeding. That's really what I took from it from a character point of view. But from a personal point of view, I think it's the same thing that I always take from a job that you really enjoy, and that's the people. Because once it's finished, once you've done it, it's completely out of your hands. You're not going to be able to edit it. You're not in charge of any of that process. You're only in charge of the process of of making it on the day. And when you would arrive in the morning and everyone would be joking and having fun, that sense of a team of people all working together, that's the thing that I really took away from it. There were no moments in that show where I wanted to be anywhere else but there. Yeah.
Right. And now, like, you know, as you go on to other projects, I mean, you carry along these friendships, thankfully,
Yes,
but
yes.
this must have changed your life and career, I mean, completely. There will not be a day that goes by the rest of your life probably where you were not recognized or interact with somebody
Every
through the
day.
prism of Outlander.
Every day. I was at the gym yesterday and the woman next to me talked to me as if I was Dougal. And that happens all the time. And I'm very happy for it, you know. I'm very mindful of the impact that the show has on people and continues to have. You know, there are constantly more and more people coming to the show that weren't there at the beginning. So I'm always very careful when I meet people when they say, oh, I've just started watching Outlander, and I don't tell them anything. Nothing. I hope you enjoy it.